I'm going to cut off the shape of a guitar on this uscutter vinyl cutter. It's too big to do on a typical printer, so we're just going to use this, and instead of using the cutter head, we're going to use the pen. We can go ahead and install our pen tip. We're not going to install it all the way in, we're going to leave it up about 1/8 of an inch, so whenever this moves down, it won't actually make contact, because we'll want to run an air pass or a test pass just to make sure everything is lining up correctly. I want to move some of the rollers into the correct positions. This last roller on the end is locked in position, and I do not like to use that roller. It seems like it doesn't roll very well, and it normally causes your paper to crumple. So just get these in the correct positions, thinking about right there, and that'll be good. Go ahead and turn on the machine and get our computer hooked up. Now we'll plug the USB into the machine and into the computer. I'm going to use this large roll of paper. Now one piece isn't quite wide enough, so I'm going to need to make 2 of them and glue them together. Now we'll pull this through just like we would vinyl. Now we can bring the rollers down, and that's locked in place, and we want to set the origin right there. The vinyl cutter came with its software, and we're going to go ahead and go into it. This is Vinyl Master Cut version 4.0, and we're going to open the file that we want to cut. I now have my file imported into the Vinyl Cut Master program, and with it connected to the machine, we can click the cut button. It'll bring up an orientation of where it'll cut on your vinyl cutter, and that is the correct corner where we want it to cut. And then we're going to click the Cut Now button. I'm going to skip the air pass and just go ahead and cut it. Now if I was using the blade on here, I wouldn't want to skip the air pass, but since this is just pen, if it messes up, I'll just run the cut again, but I think I don't need to do an air pass with a pen. The air pass is just whenever you would take this and raise it up a little bit, so then whenever this gets pushed down, it can't touch the paper. This is more important on like a piece of vinyl. So if you're cutting it, it won't actually cut the vinyl. If it makes a mistake, it won't ruin the piece of vinyl you're cutting. This is just a pen, so if I mess up, I can just run it again and be fine. Now you can see that's touching on the paper. That's just what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Now I'll click the Cut Now button. It'll open up a second dialog, just kind of proceed with cutting, and then as soon as we click that, it'll start the cutting process. And we can see it's definitely drawing our shape. But it looks like it's a bit too small. I think I forgot to scale it. This actually looks really nice. Just that ballpoint did a great job. It's really crisp. Now, obviously that's a bit too small for a guitar or even for a ukulele, but I'm gonna bring the scale up in the software and where we'll go ahead and draw the bigger one. It's 19.5 inches, so 19 1/4 from top to bottom. And this should look a lot better. And here we have a full-size guitar. I think because of this little mistake here, I'm just going to flip the paper over and cut it there. But this looks really nice. It's great. For the first 3 inches here, the pen didn't really draw. I think if I wanted to fix that problem, I could replace the refill with like a gel pen refill or something. But this, for the most part, turned out really, really nice. And I could cut this out, lay it on a piece of wood, and cut out the guitar. So now we've got that shape cut out, and that's how you use a vinyl cutter, vinyl plotter, and actually trace out a shape. It's cool because I'm able to get perfect geometry on the computer. Everything's perfectly mirrored. It'd be a lot easier than actually like doing this manually. So doing it on the computer and then plotting it out gives me the perfect shape, and on the computer I can also add all the measurements I want to get this exactly how I want it, and then I can just tell the machine to draw this out, and it'll draw it out. It's super handy. I'm glad to see that it'll fit on the CNC really nicely too, because we can take that same geometry that I'm glad to see it fit on the CNC really nicely, because I can take that same geometry that we used to cut this out and give it to the CNC router, and then it'll just trace out that shape, and it'll also be perfect. So that'll be really good. So I'm working on designing a guitar here, and I'm basing this body pretty strongly off of a Greenfield guitar. They make just exceptional guitars, so I want to especially for my first guitar, kind of learn from them because a lot of things are perfected there. So I have the design and the outer shape of it traced out, but right now I need to have a cardboard cutout so I can just get a feel of it. I need to trace this out on the vinyl cutter because that's too big for a printer to print. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.